Hey everyone, and welcome! So you've probably heard all the buzz about this big new free trade agreement between India and the UK. There's a lot of talk about cheaper goods, especially things like Scotch Whisky. But what does all this really mean for one of the best parts of traveling, the duty-free shop? Let's dive in and figure it out.
Right, this is the big one. With all these promises of huge tariff cuts, the question on every traveler's mind is pretty simple. Is this new trade deal going to kill the amazing bargains we find at the airport? Is duty-free even going to be worth it anymore?
To get to the bottom of this, we've got to start with the deal itself. Now, on paper, this India-UK FTA looks like a game changer. It's promising to make a whole bunch of British products way more affordable for everyone in India. And just to give you some perspective on why this is such a big deal, before this agreement, the import tariff on a bottle of Scotch whisky coming into India was a staggering 150%. I mean, that's a massive tax slapped on before it even gets close to a store shelf. But now, with this new deal, that tariff gets slashed right in half, bringing it down to around 75%. So naturally you're thinking, awesome, prices are about to drop like a rock, right? Well, not so fast. This is where the story gets a little more complicated. See, there's a major plot twist here. The price you actually pay for that bottle isn't just about that one big import tax. The real reason you won't feel the full savings has everything to do with something we're calling the state tax twist. Okay, so the term you need to know is right here. State excise duty. This is completely separate from the customs duty that the FTA changes. This is a different and very, very large tax that each individual state in India adds to alcohol sales. And for them, it's a critical source of income. Now check this out, because this visualizes the whole issue perfectly. When you look at the final price of a bottle, that central government customs duty, the part the FTA actually reduces, it only makes up about 15% of the total cost. That huge 85% chunk, that's all state taxes and other margins, which this trade deal doesn't touch at all. And this table really shows you why those state taxes aren't going down anytime soon. I mean, for a state like Uttar Pradesh, alcohol tax makes up almost a quarter of its entire tax revenue. It's a similar story in Karnataka and West Bengal. These states rely heavily on this money, so they have absolutely no incentive to lower their own taxes just because the central government cut a deal. So, with all that in mind, let's get practical. What does this all actually mean when you're standing in a store looking at a price tag? It's time to compare the real-world numbers, domestic retail versus the airport duty-free. And this right here lays out the reality perfectly. Let's take Johnny Walker. Before, you'd pay around 5,000 rupees in a regular store. Duty-free? About half that, right? 2,500? After the FTA, that domestic price, it drops, but only a little, maybe down to 4,700 or 4,900. The duty-free price, which was already way lower because it avoids those heavy state taxes, it stays exactly the same. The gap is still huge. And that really brings us to the core of it. Despite all the headlines about tariff cuts, that huge price gap between buying a bottle in the city and buying one at the airport, it's not going anywhere. The savings at duty-free are still going to be massive. All right, so I've looked at the trade deal, we've untangled the tax mess, and we've checked the prices. I think it's time we put it all together and give a final verdict on what this really means for you, the traveler. Let's just recap the most important takeaways. First, the FTA only cuts the central customs duty, not the massive state taxes. Because of that, domestic prices will only come down a little bit. And since duty-free shops are already exempt from those state taxes, their huge price advantage is safe and sound. It's absolutely going to remain. You know, an industry analysis really summed it up perfectly. It said, the real winners will be those who navigate state excise realities and rethink strategy. So it's not really about a massive price drop for us. It's more of a strategic game for the businesses that can figure out how to work within these complicated rules.
So we'll leave you with this final thought. If a major tariff cut like this doesn't actually translate into huge savings for the average international traveler, it kind of begs a bigger question, doesn't it? Who really are the main winners in these massive, complex trade deals? Definitely something to think about on your next trip. Thanks for joining us.